I am delighted to be joined by Nick LeForce. It's the first time talking to you as a conference presenter, so thank you very much for joining us today. And talking to you, you're in the States, so you've got up early to have this conversation. Thank you. So you are presenting at the virtual part of the NLP conference next year, and your topic is the undiscovered country, how to live in your own heartland. Now that sounds very curious. So do please start by telling us a little bit more about yourself and your presentation.
Well, thanks, Karen. First of all, I want to say it's an honor to participate in the NLP conference, and I think it's a beautiful thing that people around the world who are involved in NLP have that urge for continuing education and that urge to sort of cross over the known into the unknown and explore what's possible with NLP, because so much is possible. And so a little bit about myself. I learned about NLP in 1978 and actually took my first formal training in 1983. I fell in love mainly with Milton Erickson, I must admit, and went to train with all of his first line students that I could get in with. The thing I loved most about Erickson's work was his use of language.
Yeah.
And particularly the way that Rossi could interview him, play a recording of Erickson, and he could tell you why he said every single word. And to me, that level of mastery over what he was conveying is admirable. And I don't know of anybody that's achieved that kind of awareness to that level. So I found that very engaging and very appealing. And of course, linguistics is the middle name of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. So there was always this fascination that I had with language. But where I think it really, to me, came alive is when I recognized the power of language through poetry to have an impact. And so my passion has been poetry, and I like to say I like to play with neuro-linguistic poetry as a way of really helping us to access experiences in a way that opens our heart to discover both the beauty and the grace and the strength that's there, but also to find the way through our challenges and difficulties so that we can navigate life well. And that's really what the Undiscovered Country is about. It's a sense that I think you could say that we are all walking the landscape of the soul. And by that, what I mean is that as we encounter life experiences, they challenge us to rise to the occasion, to draw from our resources, to build new resources along the way, and to find a way to sort of navigate, especially those moral dilemmas. Yeah. We have to become true to ourselves, or land in a place where we can walk solidly and know that what we're doing and what we're offering is coming from a place that's true for us. So the Undiscovered Country is all, the subtitle is How to Live in Your Own Heartland.
Yeah.
And of course, heartland, the heartland is a term used for the central part of a land or area. It's where your greatest strength is. It's where your source is, you could say. And for me, I think the heart as an organ is situated right between the brain, the dreamer and the schemer part of us, and the gut, which is the intuitive and the committed part of us that takes action in the world.
Yeah.
And the heart is the sort of the intermediary between them. And even though the heart can be wild with its emotion and can seem to guide us in strange ways at certain times, it's truly, I think, the bridge between the two, that once we learn to live from our heartland gives us the ability to navigate life in that place, that we can truly come to the end of our days and say, this is a good life. That look back on it, I made mistakes, I stumbled and I fell, but I did my best and I was true to myself. Yeah. I think that's probably the greatest gift we could give to ourselves, is to come to that kind of place.
Absolutely. And I love the way you describe it as being a gift to ourselves. I think that's wonderful. So with that in mind, what practical learnings will delegates take away from your session?
Well, a few of them, I think. One of them, it may be an extension of what they're already doing, which is, for me, one of the greatest gifts of NLP was a heightened awareness of what I literally do inside.
Yes. Kind of it, really, isn't it?
Exactly. It's amazing. And I truly, the more I explore my own inner world, the more I realize it truly is a mystery. We have this funny thing in our world of having self-mastery. I think self-mastery is a delusion.
Yes.
I really think it's a relationship we have with ourselves, with this greater part of us that is a mystery, that gets us to do some things sometimes we don't agree with or don't like or wonder why we did that, or we want to do something we can't seem to pull it off. It's because we're actually in a relationship with an entity, you could say, a greater part of ourselves that has its needs and wants and desires and wishes that we need to navigate. And I think for me, that awareness is one gift. So heightened awareness of their own inner world. And the second thing is, I would really love it if people came away crafting their own beautiful questions. What I mean by beautiful question is having a question that's truly compelling to them, one that doesn't allow for easy answers, that you
Right.
can end a question with an easy answer. And the beautiful questions to me are the ones that are compelling enough to us that they send us on a search that expands us or enriches us or inspires us or helps us to bring some new contribution to the world that makes a difference and has an impact in life. So that would be, two things. And I think thirdly, hopefully with a sense of a greater appreciation and sense of poetry, because I will include some of that in the presentation.
And I have experienced your poetry in the past, and that definitely does touch the heart. So
Thank you.
she'll look forward to that. So is there anything that delegates can do before your session, Nick, that will give them sort of a deeper understanding or a deeper experience during your session?
Well, I think get really clear about their intention in coming. And one way I do that, when I set intention, I think of it as three parts. So the first part of it is, what practical outcome do I want to get from it? Maybe it's I want to learn how to manage my inner world more effectively through through the words I use. I want to elevate my descriptions of life. One of the ideas I have is that the word context actually comes from together con and text, which is words, or textile literacy, which is weaving. So when you think of context as the weaving together of words, we create meaning through the context we have for an experience in our mind. And that context is, I believe, for humans particularly, a weaving together of words. So for me, my goal is, how do we elevate that weaving together of words? So one thing I would encourage them to do is be aware of the words that they're using to describe things. And one way to do that is set intention, come up with a practical goal that you want to get out of it. That's one. Second thing is, what would you like to think and feel when you walk out of that? I'd like to think and feel that we had a great time together, that we had an opportunity to open our hearts to the mystery of ourselves in a way that inspires us to step with greater courage in our life, to be more honoring of the gift of being present on the planet, which is an incredible, unimaginable in many ways blessing. And thirdly, to recognize that we each have, no matter how tiny our contribution is, we each have something to offer that can make this world better. I truly believe we can create a world in which we see and bring out the best in each other. So, what would you like to think and feel when you walk out? And then the third one is, what do you want to experience while you're there? In the midst of that, like, bring a sense of curiosity. Bring the part of you that's a detective of delight.
There's the poetry.
Yeah, exactly. What do you hear? What do you see? What, even in conversation with others in the class, it doesn't have to come from me, that delights you, that opens you to wanting to bring more of yourself into the world. So, that's setting that intent beforehand. I have a book called The Undiscovered Country, How to Live in Your Own Heartland. So they could order it and read that. It's mainly poetry, but it's actually a combination of a workbook and poetry, along with this, what I call the map of the archetypal journey, which is what I'll be presenting there. And to me, that map is about that, how our inner world meets the realities of the outer world. And I think that's the place where the divine spark happens.
Yes.
When we bring our true self to the world and to the reality of life, something sparks. There is magic in that.
Yes.
And that's the gift, I think, that I'd like to feel more of in my life, receive more of that in my life, and also encourage people to find in theirs.
Absolutely.
A colleague of mine says, the giving of attention, the giving of your attention is rewarded with wonder. If you truly give your attention, it opens us to wonder. And that wonder can be the wonder of something beautiful and grand, but it also could be the wonder of something that's incredibly painful. And, like in the world right now, we have some pretty, serious tragedies going on.
Yeah.
And if we bring our true self to the reality of that, it can be a painful moment, but it's also where our life force is telling us we might need to go, or offering us a space where we might need to, where we can contribute something. So I would say set their intent, and if they want to explore the book, that's a total plus.
Absolutely. So Nick, what inspired you to want to present at the NLP conference?
Well, actually, I don't know if you remember, but I was actually scheduled to present when the pandemic happened.
Yes, and then couldn't make the new dates.
Yeah, then I couldn't make the new dates. I was really saddened by that, but life is what life is, and I think of NLP as a field of study, and there's a lot of players in this field going in a lot of different directions, and amazing things are happening. And there's few places that we have that bring together, I think, the diversity of people in the field of NLP than ANLP does. So I think that alone is a worthwhile reason to come and to participate in this. And secondarily, as you know, I mean, people in NLP are fascinating. I mean, they're fascinating people.
Absolutely.
Just being a part of that caliber of people, and being around people who are really doing meaningful things in the world and who really want to make a positive difference in the world, that's a beautiful thing. So I want to be a part of all that.
And you are.
Thank you. I'm happy to be.
So thank you, Nick. Thank you for giving us a bit more depth and understanding and insight into your presentation. So just to remind people watching, Nick is presenting at the NLP conference, the virtual element of the conference. So you're presenting on Saturday, the 10th of February at 1600 hours GMT, so that you won't have to get up too early in the morning. And your topic is the Undiscovered Country, how to live in your own heartland. So thank you so much, Nick, for taking time to explore that with us today, and very much looking forward to your presentation in February.
Well, thank you, Karen. It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to connect with you, and always a pleasure to be a part of the whole environment of NLP and the NLP conference. So I feel blessed and honored. Thank you.
Thank you.